It only has 82,000 people. So this is our country today, Andorra. So this is the country that's between Spain and France. I always knew there was a country. I never really looked into it much. But the country is Andorra, 82,000. Pretty small country. But it's a wealthy country being between Spain and France like that. I don't know how wealthy though. It's landlocked, so I guess we'll look into that. Hey, so not bad. 14th in terms of GDP per capita. I thought they were wealthy. I wouldn't have guessed they were that high. So they're higher than places like Hong Kong, a lot of European countries. Not as high as the United States though. So the United States actually has them beat on GDP per capita. I figured with such a small country, they would beat the United States. Although I didn't think I didn't imagine it being configured like this. So this is their capital, Andorra la Vella. And, I assume most of the residents are going to be in this one city. They have a nice canal here. So yeah, it's a pretty city. I imagine it's expensive to live in. What do you think? Do they speak French here or Spanish, considering they're stuck between the two? Let's look it up. The official language of Andorra is Catalan. And Catalan is it's a language spoken in the northeastern part of the Iberian Peninsula. So, basically the eastern part and the southern part of France, as I understand it, speak Catalan. Although the other majority is Spanish. So with only 9% French. So that's kind of surprising. So half of them speak Spanish and 9% speak French. So I thought it'd be more of a mix, but they're clearly leaning towards Spanish. Although I imagine a lot of the people there speak multiple, like Portuguese is 10%, English is 5%. So probably a lot of people speak 2 or 3 or more. A lot of Europe does that. They'll speak 2 or 3 languages. So I imagine Andorra does that as well. Here's our flag. I'm a fan of this. I like the, it's colorful, but it doesn't get too crazy. I'm not going to go too into depth on the history of Andorra, but this says they claim they're the last independent survivor of the Marca Hispanica, which is a military buffer zone made up of counties created by Charlemagne to keep the Islamic Moors from advancing into the Christian Frankish Empire. So, the Moors conquered parts of Spain, and so there was this buffer zone created. And so Andorra is it's the last remaining independent survivor of that buffer zone. And a fun fact with this, Andorra's borders have remained unchanged since 1278. So it's pretty impressive for a country that small, so few people, that with both the Spanish to their south and the French to their north, 2 very powerful countries, were extremely powerful, during the 1600s, 1700s. And the small Andorra was able to remain independent till today. Although this does say they've been annexed a couple times during that period. So looking back at the map, this is another fun fact. Have you heard of the Pyrenees Mountains? This is where they're located. So it's at the border between France and Spain. So I never knew that. This is basically why France and Spain has their border where it is, because of these mountains. So it's a very natural border. And also, with Andorra being located in these mountains, that's probably a reason they were able to stay independent. That's a common theme among mountain groups, is that they're able to fend off invaders. They're able to maintain their culture for a long time. So that is where the Pyrenees Mountains are located. Andorra has no airport. It relies on the neighboring countries for air travel. It has none itself. It's small. It's the 16th smallest country by land area. I thought they'd be even smaller. There must be a few island countries that make up that top of that list. About 80% of Andorra's GDP comes from tourism, so that's a huge number. I'd be interested to see who can rival that. Where 80% of your economy, basically 80% of your final goods and services comes through tourism. That's a huge number. Another fact, the capital, Andorra la Vella, is the highest capital city in Europe. And because of their mountains, they have excellent skiing and hiking. Unfortunately, our trusted populationpyramid.net does not have Andorra listed, so we're going to skip that for this. I always like to look up news. It gives you a good feel of the country about what's going on, what's current. Andorra does not have too much. It's a very small country. It's a third of the size of my, or a fourth of the size of my hometown. And most of the news is soccer related and skiing related. So they haven't really won anything too major lately, so we're going to go ahead and skip the news as well. All right, we'll check it out on Airbnb. I bet these are going to be more expensive than other places we've seen so far. All right, so we're here in Andorra. I can already tell on the price. Let me shrink down my face. I can already tell on these prices, when the minimum you see is 1,200, then that's a more expensive area. But let's check it out. Let's check out this 1,200 one. So it's sharp looking. It's a modern look. It has some nice views. So that gives you an idea of what Andorra might look like. I mean, it's a pretty view. I mean, I bet these are reasonable places to stay at, but maybe for a budget, Andorra is not going to be the place. Speaking of budget, let's look up the cost of living. So compared to New York, it is cheaper. A lot of things are about half as cheap. I thought it'd be a little bit more expensive than that, considering the location, considering how it's mountainous. But things that are more expensive than New York, local cheese is more expensive, and bananas are more expensive. That makes sense. Gasoline, almost twice as much for gas, $6 a gallon. So I don't imagine it being fun being an Uber driver or a taxi driver in Andorra. Another thing that's more expensive is jeans. Quite a bit more expensive. Although the other clothes are cheaper. But once again, it's compared to New York, so that's still fairly expensive prices. Average monthly net salary would be $5,200 in New York, and it's $2,500 in Andorra. So about half of your earnings would be about half in Andorra as they would be in New York. So looking at these, a lot of the things, it's about half as expensive, it looks like. So effectively, what you're earning in Andorra would be the equivalent expenses to New York. So that's Andorra. Interesting. I didn't know it was that small. I learned about the Pyrenees and got a refresher on the Catalan language. So interesting place. It's kind of nestled there. It has a long history. We'll see. Maybe it can remain independent for another 1,000 years to come. So what do you guys think of Andorra? If anyone's been there, you have to leave a message in the comments saying what it was like and if you enjoyed it or not. Okay, see you guys.